Today we are looking at, of course, the Tamron 18-300, and we're shooting it right now on the XH2 at 8K, so 60 shutter speed, f3.5, 18mm. Now let me just zoom in, which is going to involve a bit of a cut because the aperture will change, and a little bit of an edit tweak to get it a bit brighter, I think. Yeah, how's it doing? That's the first test over with. We're going to get inside, get warm, check this out up close. Well, check this out up close because this is now empty. Anyway, you know what I mean. Then we're going to get a load of random test samples on the go. Let's go back to 18. Yeah, anyway, let's crack on. Firstly, we've got an owner's manual. We don't need that. I believe this is serial number sticker, warranty, well, precautions. Anyway, well packaged. He says, I think I didn't get the knack of taking this out of the last one without trashing it. I know some of you will just rip it out in excitement. And there is the lens itself. It only weighs 620 grams. Comes with this lens hood, which is perfectly fine. Everything feels good. My first impressions are positive. We've got a lock here for the zoom, which means at 18, the widest, the most compressed, it's not moving. Does that work throughout the range? No, it's only for at 18. Anyway, that's fine. We've got a manual focus ring there. Now you'd have noticed immediately that it's not internal, and it does get rather long, but then we're talking about 16.6 times zoom ratio with those nice little focal length markings right there. In full frame language for us older folk, 27 to 450 mil. Serious. There are 9 diaphragm blades, 19 elements in 15 groups. The aperture, while there's no aperture ring, we'll see how we get on with that. I know that for me personally, using the front dial, the wheel is absolutely fine. In fact, it's quicker than using a ring at times, or maybe I've just got used to it. I'm not opposed to it. Basically, you won't hear me moaning too heavy about that. We do have an aperture that starts at f3.5 at the widest, or 6.3 at the telly, and goes on to f22. Minimum object distance, now this could be fun, 15 centimeters at the widest and 99 centimeters, basically a meter, at the telly. Could be interesting. 1.1 to 4 magnification ratio at the telly, 1 to 2 at the widest. Bit of fun to be had there, I think. We do have vibration compensation, which I'll definitely need with this. I've found even with some of my bodies that have IBIS, some lenses just haven't played nicely. So having vibration compensation will hopefully help me out there, getting old shaky in the cold, you know. This apparently is only really offering around 4 stops. We'll see how we get on with it. But yeah, I mean, build quality, first impressions at least, yeah, really good. I mean, it's high-end plastic by the feel of it, but nothing feels like it's going to fall apart too soon. Obviously, if you've had the lens for a while, you know, and you've had some good or bad experiences, let us know in the comments below. I'm off now to shoot with this for a few weeks, see how we get on. So we'll be back with some very random samples. A little summary on how I feel about the build and handling after use, image quality. Is it worth it? You know the deal. And then it'll be over to you in the comments below. So yeah, there we go. Look at that beer can. Wine bottle. Got a bit nervous there. Better carry on. Right. After giving it a thorough run through over the last month in all sorts of weather, I'm afraid, I think the lens feels very good, considering, you know, it's basically plastic and it's packing in a 16.6 times zoom. It's pretty light, all things considering, and it feels solid out and about. Now, handling performance isn't bad either. That zoom ring, yes, it feels quite heavy, but, you know, let's be positive and call it secure or sure, which means it's not going to lose its place if you turn the lens upside down, you know. Not that it really matters for me, but the manual focus ring isn't really a selling point for this lens. It's not that bad. It's definitely far from great. And to be fair, most of us probably won't touch it. Before we go on, I wasn't happy with the stabilisation at 300mm. My T4 and the VC of this lens didn't really work the miracles I was hoping for. Now, autofocus isn't bad at all, in fairness, with either the T4 or the newer bodies, and I will include some test clips in just a moment, but let's just say I think it's fast enough, it's pretty much silent, and it gets the job done. Face, S5, back wall, basically S5, face, near post, face, fine, absolutely fine. Let's switch into stills. Not bad at all. Let's focus on the eye. Back wall. Eye. Camera over there. The blind. Now, if you're looking at the corners, are you seeing anything happening? That should be the back wall to the eye. Back wall to the eye. Not seeing anything. We're at 200. Which is the best I'm going to get in a moment. I'm on the eye. Let's go to the back wall, the window frame. Eye, window frame. I can see a bit of movement. What do you reckon? I don't really care about this stuff, but I know some of you do. We're kind of on the black bit of the window frame now. Let's go for the face. You can still get quite a pleasant transition though, but it's not that confident. You see, it just knocked itself a little bit. That's not me. I'm literally barely touching the touchscreen to change the focus. That shifted. Did you see it move itself? My hands are away. It worked that time. One more go. There, you saw it move. Yeah. I think we've got a bit carried away now. Oh man, this is going to be so long. As a super zoom, it was never going to win awards for image quality, but you know, it's not that bad. Of course, it isn't the sharpest lens out there. It does perform best around, say, the middle of the zoom range and stop down. Although at 18mm f3.5, it is surprisingly decent. Now, the fun end for me, 300mm, is a little bit disappointing, especially towards the edges, but still very usable in good light. Color rendering is pretty decent with this lens, and in general, contrast is very, very good. Maybe. The worst performance, however, again, is at my favorite focal length with this 300mm. You know, and that's partly the end of the zoom that you're really most interested in when buying this lens. Now, before we touch on a few more points regarding the all-important image quality, let's take a look at a static test where the only change between frames is the aperture. Of course, I had to do that via the command dial as there's no aperturing on this. First, we're going to look at 18mm, then 300mm. You know, it's not scientific, but yeah, let's see if you can spot any issues. Chromatic aberration is present at 18mm, but otherwise pretty much well controlled with this lens. Ghosting and flaring also good. Vignetting basically excellent. There is some noticeable distortion at 18mm, I'm afraid, and some very minor pin cushion from about 100 onwards. Color fringing is also noticeable at 18mm. Finally, bokeh. It's not off-putting, and it can be fairly decent in the right circumstances. Let's have a look at a few more unedited efforts before we sum up and decide if it's worth buying or not. Is it worth buying then? Well, at £659 on Amazon and £699 at my local store, I have to say it's decent value, especially as there's nothing with this range that comes close. People compare it to the 18-135, the 50-250, the 55-200, and the 70-300, but none of those very decent lenses are the same. If you want an all-in-one that goes all the way to 300, this is basically your only choice, and it's not a bad choice, all things considering. The IQ might not be amazing, but it's got that wild zoom range, quality build and handling, sensible pricing, and you can get a good image out of it. So if you just need that one lens and you've got the right light, go for it.